Uh-oh.
What? Yeah, too many turkeys there, buddy. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're on a new home build. This is going to be a barn dominium, and it's going to be a very, what's the right word, Greg? Because I don't want to say tiny, because it's not tiny, but it's not extravagant. Maybe that's the right word.
I would.
It's a very what?
Not average. I wouldn't say average.
Well, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. That's pretty darn average. Anyway, we're here on day one to start building. So what we have to do is the foundation is now done. You can see we've done a lot of the backfill. Still got a little bit to go here or there, but we'll wait till it's time to do the concrete to get it all finished graded. What we need to start doing is we need to get the walls built so we can get a roof on this thing. We're going into winter. Today is December 29th.
Today's the 30th. Tomorrow's the 31st, and then we're at the 1st, right?
Oh yeah, so it's the end of 2024. It's gonna get into the coldest time of the year. Always happens every time January comes around. We know it. So we wanna get moving on this exterior. So we're gonna go ahead and get our brackets laid out. We've got our Midwest Perma Column Brackets, same sort of bracket we use all the time. They're ICC rated, so if you're out doing a barn dough, you wanna use a bracket like this because when you go get a loan or a mortgage at a bank, this is a ICC rated foundation system, so you'll be good to go. So Greg and I are gonna get some dimensions. We're gonna check everything. We're gonna check it for square. We'll get our marks on the wall. Hopefully everything is good, and then we'll get our brackets mounted. So let's go. And the other good thing is, well, good and bad, it hasn't froze yet much, which means there's a lot of mud, but we're gonna be working on the inside for a while, so that's the good news. The bad news is it hasn't froze yet, so it's muddy. All right, that's 56, brother. Hey, just stay there, stay there. I just like to do the quick preliminary check, even though we're gonna throw the 180 up to get all of our lines. Although we maybe don't even have to. 56 foot run, 32 foot rise, 64.6. I mean, that's 64.6, brother. Huh, that a boy, Brian. Greg said, I don't think it's gonna be good.
You know, feelings aren't always right, you know?
All right, so that's about 32.25. Okay, 64.6, dude. Yeah.
You wanna check this one?
Yeah.
Might as well while we're
Oh, you're
here.
already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is about, maybe, it's hard to say, but I would guesstimate probably an 1/8 to 1/4 short of 56. That's why this works out, because the squareness could be good, but it could be in or out. I'm not really sure. The important thing is this is good. So now that we have like kind of a preliminary check, we always like to do our layout from the front of the house. That's kind of the most important. So we're gonna get our first initial, since we know it's pretty much spot on, we're gonna go ahead and just get initial 1.5 inch marks. So our post will sit 1.5 inches off the wall.
I don't have a pencil.
You don't have a pencil? What are you planning to build without a pencil?
I don't know. I was just gonna Perkins this one.
Oh yeah, the whole thing?
Yep.
Now we'll just come right here, since that's what we check for square, right? So there, that's 1.5 inches. It's literally the most important part of the job is right now, layout is everything. 1.5 inches. Give it a second, Greg, and then we'll go ahead and lock on.
Yep.
Moving. Should be hitting you soon.
3/16 off.
I mean, what are you talking about? Isn't this 1.5 inches right? Oh, that's 1.5 inches right here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got it.
5/16.
Yeah. All right, that's where you wanted?
Green light.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So now that we have this line established square from that side, we'll just move the laser down. And if you guys have seen us do this before, the laser is nice because it really doesn't lie. Tapes can stretch, move around. It's cold today. You know, when you're pulling a diagonal and you're checking everything, it's just another layer of accuracy check, I guess. Give it a second, Greg, just let it
Yep.
finish self-leveling.
Just say when.
All right, you're good to go. So by locking back onto this line that we already established to be square with the front line, the goal is we will then get a perfectly square line going back this way. And then what we can do is confirm when we pull a measurement from our front mark back to the mark that we're gonna make here. So we'll have 3 walls, 2 perfect 90s, and then we just join that 4th wall and we should be good. Okay?
Okay, we're locked.
All right, buddy. Let's go down here and then we'll have to, here. Take this. Let's get a 55.9. So you hold me at a foot again?
Yep.
So boom, there we go, 32.9. That's exactly what we wanted. So what that means to me is I don't need to check any more square. We've got 3 dimensionally accurate walls with 2 90-degree corners, and then a 4th dimension that is exactly what we want it to be. So these are gonna be the marks that we'll use. Before we go any further, Greg, let's go ahead and get these lined up and we'll get a couple mid marks with the laser, which we did not do in the front. Okay, so since we've confirmed the house part, which is this 32 by 56 area, that is all good and square. We're now gonna go ahead and use the same line because we've got this set up, it's square, to come over here to where the garage wall is. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna find where that laser line continues down. What I know is that this is supposed to be 8 feet from the end. So what I can do is get my mark in a straight line with the squared up line of the house. I can pull my tape, which I know is 56 plus 36. So I'm gonna be 92.9, somewhere in here is the goal. And please don't get all muddy, tape measure. In a straight line. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, this is going to be my mark just for, okay, so that's 8.5. So it could be a 1/2 inch off, Greg. I don't know yet. So this is just kind of a secondary check since we have this already established. We might not end up using this exactly because we've got 2 buildings coming together and it is actually really close. But since we have this, we can use this to establish another square line and get a perfect perpendicular line on this garage wall to then mark out and re-square up again. I think that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and keep going with the house side, but since this was already set up, it gave us an opportunity to give us a mark and we can use it. Okay, so that's mid-mark there. We probably don't need to mid-mark 32, Greg. I feel good about that.
I mean, we could snap a line and measure over there, and
I'm okay with that. Yeah, you got chalk line? Don't worry, I do.
I do.
I filled mine up, didn't I?
Mine's full as well.
So we'll go ahead and,
We're done with that for now, right?
yeah, we'll go ahead and snap with mine and then we'll snap with yours. There ain't no wind out today. You pop it? Good?
Yep.
Okay. It's just a snap line, not a tow rope. See, the nice thing about the 180, if you guys haven't seen this before, is you'll see the lasers. There's 2 lasers here. That is shooting a 180-degree line this way, and then this laser is shooting a 90-degree perpendicular to those. So when I put this like so, what I'm gonna do is get a line that's gonna go back that way, and it's gonna lock on to our receiver at the end mark, which we know is good based off the house. It's then gonna give me a perpendicular 180-degree line that I can then measure to this corner, get a mark, that will be square to that, and then I can go all the way down to the other end of my garage and get a mark. Then we now have a perpendicular line that's perfectly square to our house that we can move our laser to this mark or that mark and do the same sort of process that we just did in the house. And if the concrete is good, then we can start doing our brackets. If the concrete is off, then we have to think about, are we going to adjust the square or are we gonna rotate the building a little bit one way or the other to make it work? Hopefully we don't have to do that. And this thing only has so much wiggle room to go, so I try to get it fairly close, but a little bit of movement here is actually a lot at distance. Go ahead, buddy. I hope they come out with a version 2.0 of this though. that works even faster. Okay, moment of truth. Now that we have this locked on, we have this set right here. We've got a nice perpendicular line. I guess we'll see just how square everything is. Yeah, go ahead, Greg, and get a mark closer to the door.
Like in the gravel here?
Yeah, right in here somewhere, just so we can snap a line. Right here, buddy. Just somewhere in here so we can snap a line.
I see, I see.
While we got the opportunity. Well, let's hope that it,
It's just the corner?
yeah, hope that corner just comes out a little.
I might just...
Well, hey, you know what? It is what it is for now. Let's go ahead and get that back corner, and then we'll pull some tapes and we'll do our check. I've never seen a concrete job perfect anyway, Greg. Hold me on that mark right there. I'm gonna get an 8-foot mark. It will be 8 foot because we're both in 1.5 inches. So I'm going 9 foot on your mark.
You need a new tape measure.
Yeah, it's getting there. All right. Okay. So, yeah, it's like 2 1/8. What we're seeing is that this garage, it appears to be shifted just a little bit out of square from the house. So we have to make the decision, do we continue to build exactly perfectly square off the house, or do we fudge maybe a 1/4 inch here and there to kind of bring it all back? It's probably what we'll have to do, because a 1/4 inch is never going to be seen from anywhere out of square on a 48 by 36 foot garage. But the problem is, if we don't do that, we start to risk where our posts are in relation to the edge of this concrete, and then where our wall finishes are on it. Basically, if we take this house section and just rotate it, probably not much, 1/8 of an inch, you would be surprised at what that does by the time we get all the way to the other corner. I just don't know if that's worth it, man. 1/8 of an inch to get a 1/4 of an inch.
Yeah. Well,
The building will be square. The foundation is just not.
the foundation will just be a little bit off, and you will never notice that.
Okay, so this is a new mark based off of this corner, trying to find the middle ground on this garage to make it as good as possible. So now what we can do, Greg, is let's just see where this is, and then grab a tape measure, and we'll measure back there and see where that is. 8 1/2 plus, so we're gonna go 8 1 7/8. Yeah, that'll make a difference.
That'll make a big difference.
So we're about 3/8 then, huh? The only other option really is to, if this is what we're gonna go with, is to use the laser to mark out right now and
Every location.
put a mark, and or just re-snap it and know that, you know, I mean, this is going to be enough.
Inside mark,
It'd be the inside
mark.
inside mark, outside mark. Exactly. What's the big deal? I always like to mark the doorways because we don't do anything with them right away anyway. They don't get any posts or anything. And this ensures when we come back and we do our framing, we know where that straight line is. We don't have to re-snap a line in between columns or anything. And actually these 2 doorways, I think both of them are going to be a little unique, because we're going to have to header this whole location, because I think right here is where a column is supposed to go in our typical 8-foot layout. And we won't, I don't know, I don't remember, one of these anyway. So we're not going to have anything. We're going to have a 16-foot bay, kind of like a garage door, and then we're just going to frame in between that. So I think you guys know the drill by now. We just kind of did it all once, and we're going to do it again. So we'll just bust through this and we'll get this thing laid out and ready for brackets. So you can see right here, actually, if you come in here and look, this is what we gained. Before, this was our corner. It was too close to this wall, and it was too far from the wall over there, and it was too far from this wall, almost 3/8 of an inch. because we want this to be, or sorry, only about 1/8 of an inch here. Over there it was about 3/8 of an inch. But by shifting just a little bit, this is our new corner right here, which is a little bit on the other side, but a lot better this way. Now we found our middle ground for our corners, and that's usually what we have to do. It's always nice, like I said in the beginning, when we can just come out here, pull off the front 1.5 inches and everything's perfect, but it doesn't happen. So it worked out though. It's only 9 o'clock. All right, there we go. We now have all of our marks that we need. We don't have this line, but we can easily set the laser up anytime and get these center ones when the gravel is kind of moved out. So line's done. Now we'll pull dimensions and get marks for all of our brackets. That's the easy part. 16. Are we gonna get, yeah, see, this is where a column is supposed to be, right here at 24. And it's just the way the layout in the house worked out. That's a downside of post frame. We do have, you know, posts that kind of got to be where they got to be. So we'll have to do a special header there, but it's not that big of a deal. I guess the point is, know that you can do whatever in a post frame, but the more you stick to the guidelines, like 8 foot on centers, or not having to header off columns for special locations of doors and windows, it is cheaper. So there will be more cost associated with that door because it's not going in the center of a bay.
There's like a 1/4 inch difference. Or,
yeah, roughly
3/16.
1/4 inch, yeah. It's all right, better to catch it now than not.
I'm assuming it's this one because the snap line goes through it.
Well, it's always a good assumption. All right, time to lay our brackets out. Once again, these are the Sturdy Wall Midwest Perma Column Brackets. These are dry sets, so these will get anchor bolted right into the top of the concrete. We've got all of our Simpson hardware here. It is a very strong connection. So we'll get all these laid out. Basically, all the intermediate columns will get a full bracket, but when we get to our corners, our door jambs, we'll actually cut one in half because we don't want both ears in the way. We only want one ear. So I'm gonna let Greg do the ones far away. I'll do the ones right next to the pallet. You good with that, Greg? Okay. That's just to hold it in place, and then we'll come back around with the big boys and get it fastened in permanently. So this is not ideal. You see this concrete ridge when they were finishing this, it did not get done very well. And when I put my bracket on here, it's gonna rock. So what we need to do is just take a grinder and we're just gonna try to take off some of this ridge so that it hopefully sits a little flatter. Not going nowhere. Okay. I know there's a lot of ways to do this, but we basically just put this marker here so that when we come back and put our columns on, the brackets, I'm gonna be setting this off a 1/4 inch, and it's gonna give me something to set my column to because that line is the column line. The brackets being smaller, I don't want them right on the line. That's all the intermediates. So all the fulls are done except for here through the middle. We do have to do a couple more. We're not gonna worry about that right now because I'm not gonna deal with this little ramp I got built. So now what we gotta do is cut brackets in half this way so we get single ears. And the reason is like, let's say right here at this door, okay? We got a door here. I can't put a column with 2 ears and a leg sticking out here where it's gonna get mounted. So these end up just getting a single mounted ear. It's like a universal corner door jamb bracket that you can buy from Midwest Perma Column, but I don't buy them, I just get fulls and cut them in half. So people always ask me, why are you cutting that ear off? Just leave the ear there. Because we don't need it. That's basically the reason. I mean, yeah, it's okay. See, the other reason that I like to use just a standard column over using the universal jam and corner is because when I cut this, I'm gonna have this 1/4 inch plate that my post will sit on versus when you get just a universal, it's just the L. So you get this L piece and then it goes right up against your post. And the reason that I like having this plate underneath the post is because it's sitting on the concrete. So anytime you can keep the wood from the concrete separate, I think it's a good thing. Okay, 4.5. I just need to check the dimension because this is a new column for us. These actually came from the same place as the brackets. So Midwest Perma Column, they do the brackets, they do the Perma Column posts, which are the cement posts that go in the ground with the bracket mounted to it. And then they also sell columns, which is we're using for the first time because Ohio Timberland used to be our main post provider. They've gone out of business. The old man retired and nobody took it over. So I need to know the dimensions so I know exactly where to put my brackets. These, it's pretty important to get these flush. Oh, look at that. That actually not too bad. But what I need to do is make sure that I'm 4.5 inches off this line. Let's see. So when I put this bracket on here, my column can still sit on this metal plate versus straight on the concrete. If I were to buy just a universal, this little leg here is not there. It's just a bent piece of metal and you would bolt it right to the side of the column. So I don't know, I think it's a little extra protection. And it keeps things consistent because all of my other ones are on top of this plate. So now my corners will also be on top of the plate. Okay. Just want to make sure that these are good and squared up with our line. So our posts aren't all twisted when they get installed. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna go 4.5 plus it, so I'm gonna go 6 inches back on these. So we'll do our 4.5 column and then another 1.5 inches. Okay? So hold me there, stay there.
Yep.
So this should be 15 feet plus 6 inches. And then here. Okay, Greg? We'll go to this other side. It's gonna check it. Well, it should be fine, but we're just gonna check it. This should be 15.6.
1.5 inches.
Yep, 15.6. And unfortunately, this right here, because we shifted it just a little bit, my post is gonna go like this. And I need this concrete to be no more than 4.5 out, and I'm 4 7/8. So I have to come in here and we're gonna have to cut this concrete off so my 2x can go,
Or
me.
we route her out the back of the 2x.
No, we don't want that because I want that full depth on the backside to attach a board to. We got to attach our board to go down. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I need to go down 7 inches, which is not going to be possible with this, but we're going to take it down as far as we can. That's what we're going to do. Pretty good. One thing, guys, little side tip, if you're setting brackets, okay, these are not the ideal Tapcon to use because look at the head. You see how that's got that like concaved head? These are great if you're gonna put some like wood plates into concrete because they'll kind of bite into the wood, but I didn't have any of the ones I wanted to use, which are like the hex head with a flat like washered head. And the reason being is when you're trying to line up with these holes, they want to self-center because of that angled, you know, chamfered head there, right? So if your hole is not perfect in the center, as soon as you put this in, it's going to draw the bracket to the center of the screw. So this is what I would typically want to use, and I don't have enough for the job today. And you can see how it's flat, so when it goes down, it's just gonna suck tight versus this one is gonna draw right to the center, and it's gonna basically self-center that screw in the hole. So you want something like this, it's a better alternative. This is the thing I wanted to get all this crap. Yeah. This is a big deal, man. This makes a difference when you're putting Tapcons in. If you keep your holes clean, the Tapcons have a much greater chance of survival. One other thing here as I put my last bracket in, it's a corner bracket, and you'll notice that right here, this is an end wall bracket. It's perpendicular to the wall, so the post is the long ways of the dimension is perpendicular. But when I come to a corner, you might ask yourself, how do I know which way the column should go? Because we're not using true 6x6s or 8x8, so there's a long dimension and a short dimension. The long dimension is the strongest way, so you want that to be perpendicular to a wall, and that's going to resist wind and, you know, loadings and all that other stuff. When it comes to a corner, corners are always the same as a side wall. So you don't replicate your end walls, you go with the sidewall. So instead of going like this, hopefully this makes sense, and my column being long ways this way, I'm gonna go this way because this is my sidewall, this is my end wall, and your corners are like a sidewall column. So if somebody is wondering, now you know. All right, guys, that is the layout, the installation of the brackets. This is gonna be a fun one. This, we just came to the realization that this 3-bedroom, 3-bath house is just about the same square footage as this, I don't even know what you'd call this, like 6-car garage. It's a 36 by 48, so it's 1,700 and something square foot and 1,792 square foot or whatever. So this is like the perfect, I think, building for somebody that's got a lot of cars, a lot of toys, wants to have extra bonus space for entertaining, but a perfect modest home. This is going to be built really well using great materials and great processes. So if you guys are in the market for building a home in the future, you don't want something extravagant, I think this is going to be it. I mean, this is going to fit the bill for a lot of people, man. I mean, what people are looking for. There's going to be a ton of content coming out of this build. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, have fun, follow along with us. And we're going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. We'll come back here at the next one when we start building, and we'll catch you then. So have a good one. Thanks.